Hello, Clang Gang! Welcome to your Week 5 combo. This one is called the Broad and Tall because we're going to be getting really broad with these half loop swings. Just look at all the ground we're covering from side to side. And then we're going to get tall, which is all the way over here, which is we have a sky guard going right into a downswing. So that's a really tall place to start a swing, going right into that lunge guard position. All right, so let's get started with the broad and tall combo. First, let's watch this sucker. Okay, great. Let's break this guy down. So we are starting in a corner guard position. To clarify, in the tutorial for the half loop swing, I call this a back guard, but partway through the development after I had filmed this video, I've decided to rename it corner guard and choke guard for the opposing side. It ends up being a lot less complicated, trust me. So anyways, starting in a corner guard position, we've got our top hand matching our lead foot. And you can see here, I've only got one hand on it to start. It just looks cool. Not really any other reason besides that. But the first thing I do is replace that bottom hand. And look at this. We're dropping the shoulder, driving the hands, pushing the sword out and away. So that way it arches in front of me, curves, and lands on the back. That is the first half of our loop swing, which anytime it's half of a loop swing, half of a loop swing, it's called a quarter loop. And that will actually come up in this week's combo. You see that it's just called a quarter loop going into a quarter loop. So we drop our shoulder, we swing this sucker around, we rotate it so the other side of the flat of the blade rests on the shoulder. Now, for terminology's sake, it's good to call out, this is a choke guard. You can tell because my top hand is having to cross my body so that the sword can rest on my back. So starts in corner guard, ends in choke guard. So we have this choke guard. We're pulling back out, getting that sword to fling in front, and then rotate back onto the back and the other side of the flat of the blade. After this, we pop it off the shoulder. And again, you can really use your shoulder as kind of a fulcrum. By pulling down with this bottom hand, you can wrench it, really just whip it off the shoulder to get that initial air and then down into a diagonal swing, making it a backswing. Now we're entering some familiar territory. Coming out of the backswing, we're going to use a stretch reflex to pop ourselves right into a thrust into a shoulder guard. Now I'll call myself out here. Let's take a look. You see what I'm seeing? Kind of a lazy thrust, right? I'm only getting up to about, chest height before I'm starting to pull it back. I'm holding myself to a really high standard here, but I'm also holding you to a high standard, so I'll do the same for myself. Which is, the handle is not in contact with my forearm. The line from the tip to the handle, that level line with the ground, that's nice. I like how it's parallel to the floor, but it could be another 6 to 8 inches higher. I would like it to be about shoulder height at the peak of a thrust swing. So coming out of that thrust swing, we pull it into a shoulder guard and then popping it right off using that upper arm to help put a little gas into the sword. We're propelling it up into the air while shifting our stance, bringing that rear foot forward so it becomes the lead foot, landing in a sky guard with a grip switch in between. I really use this little alignment of movements quite a lot. I like it because it's a very flashy way to do some necessary mechanics, which is, if you take a forward step, it changes where your top hand should be. And doing it with a sky guard makes a necessary mechanical change actually look pretty smooth to go into later swings. So my guess is that if you can survive the opening corner guard into half loop swing, you are probably going to have the most trouble here. This might be the combo breaker for you if the half loop isn't, which is you're stepping forward, launching up into a sky guard, having a grip switch right into an incredibly high downswing. Now, a downswing is fairly intuitive to let the sword drop to start it, but doing it from this high up means you've got a lot more momentum feeding into the sword as you transition it up and over. So that's kind of a compromised position. Reaching over the head, trying to have that tip drop so that way it maintains speed, sliding outside the body, and then being whipped and pushed around into the downswing. Of course, lunge guard, using the legs to absorb your weight to make sure you can finish the swing with control. So yeah, that is the broad and tall combo. If I were to tackle this, I would suggest to start with a corner half loop practice, making sure you can do that opening guard right into the first quarter loop, right into the second quarter loop, completing the half loop with speed, efficiency, confidence. Get it down pat. If that's confident, everything else is going to move easier. After that, I would practice this sky guard into downswing. Don't worry yourself with the forward step or the grip switch. Just practice going from a sky guard into downswing, getting comfortable, transferring that momentum from where the handle is above the head, letting that tip drop from on high, transferring the momentum to feed into a really solid downswing. The forward step into the skyguard grip switch, that is tricky. You can't get around it. Even I, after all of my many hours of practice, still find myself needing to be very focused to pull that off well. But yeah, you've done it a few times already. I'm sure you'll be able to get it down today. And yeah, that'll be the broad and tall combo. I'll say have fun with it. If you're feeling any sort of shoulder pain while doing these loop swings, be careful. I'll say that for my own training, the loop swings are the trickiest. If I notice like something starts to feel a little tweaky, just not very comfortable, not the good pain, it often happens during the loop swing. So please proceed cautiously with that movement. Other than that, yeah, just classic combo fun. Go out there and have a blast.